Have you ever felt the air shift before anything actually happened? That strange, electric pull in your chest. The sudden sense that something, or someone, is moving toward you, even if you can't see it yet? Because right now, in the unseen realms, something powerful is unfolding. The divine masculine is no longer standing still. He's no longer hiding in the shadows of indecision. He's no longer pretending he doesn't feel the connection that has been chasing him in dreams, in synchronicities, and in the silent spaces between his thoughts. His soul is stirring. His heart is waking up. And the universe is whispering the same message over and over again. It's time. This is the moment when fate starts speeding up, when timelines accelerate, when the pull between twin flames becomes almost impossible to ignore. Everything he once avoided is now calling him home with a force he never expected. And this time, he's done running. Tonight I'm going to share with you the 7 unmistakable signs that the divine masculine is finally done waiting. Signs that the universe is aligning, that his heart is opening, and that union is closer than it has ever been. If you've been feeling this shift too, if you've been sensing him in your dreams, your intuition, your energy, this message is for you. Let's begin. 1. His resistance turns into restlessness he can't explain. There comes a moment on the divine masculine's journey when resistance no longer feels like protection. It begins quietly, almost imperceptibly, an uneasiness in the chest, a tightness in the stomach, a sense that something is off even when life appears unchanged on the surface. The walls he built to feel safe suddenly feel more like barriers, blocking him from something his soul is now desperately trying to reach. The very armor he once clung to has become unbearably heavy, pressing against him instead of shielding him. He doesn't understand it at first, but deep within, his spirit knows, avoiding the connection is no longer an option his soul can sustain. He wakes with a feeling he can't name. A sense of urgency, as though time is moving faster than he can keep up with. He feels pulled towards something unseen, a magnetic undercurrent that whispers there is a step he must take, a truth he must acknowledge, a direction he must follow. It isn't anxiety, it's activation. His soul is waking him up, shaking him loose from the stagnation he once mistook for safety. Every day he ignores this pull, the restlessness grows stronger. It sits behind his ribs, curls into his thoughts, follows him into every quiet moment. This restlessness isn't random, it's spiritual alignment. His inner being is pushing him toward movement, toward honesty, toward the connection he tried to outrun. The universe is rearranging his internal landscape, removing the illusion that silence or distance can keep him safe from his own truth. What once felt comfortable is now suffocating. What once felt logical now feels empty. His resistance has lost its purpose, and his spirit knows it. He feels trapped by the very avoidance he once relied on. Every day apart from you amplifies the ache rather than soothing it. The connection he tried to push away now echoes louder in his heart, in his dreams, in his intuition. And this time, the pull is not coming from longing or fantasy, it's coming from alignment, from soul memory, from a deeper knowing that he is meant to move toward this love, not away from it. This restlessness is not chaos. It is guidance. It is the universe telling him the time is now. And whether he understands it mentally or not, his soul has already begun turning back toward you. Toward truth. Toward the path he was always meant to walk. 2. His dreams shift from avoidance to confrontation to reunion. There is a profound shift happening within him, one that begins not in his waking life, but in the realm of dreams, the place where the soul speaks when the mind refuses to listen. For so long, his dreams were an escape from you. They were the only space where he could silence the pull of the connection, the only place where he could create distance without feeling the ache of separation. In sleep, he could pretend he didn't feel what he felt. He could hide, avoid, deny. But that era is ending. Now, instead of running, he finds you there, waiting, appearing, speaking, reaching. His dreams have become a mirror of the truth he's tried so hard to suppress. The conversations he cannot have in the physical world show up with startling clarity in the dream world. Words he swallowed during the day spill effortlessly from his mouth at night. Feelings he buried rise to the surface in scenes that feel more real than reality. He sees your face with a vividness that startles him. He hears your voice as though you're lying right beside him. And every time he wakes, there is a moment, just a breath, where he forgets the separation, because, in the dream, reunion already happened. He wakes breathless, emotional, sometimes even shaking, not from fear, but from recognition. His subconscious is no longer protecting him from the truth. It's revealing it. Showing him, night after night, the connection he can no longer outrun. Something in him understands what his waking mind still debates. These dreams are not random. They are not nostalgia or fantasy. They are guidance. Spiritually, dreams are the soul's rehearsal. Before the body moves, the soul prepares. Before the masculine reaches out in the physical, he reaches out in the astral. His soul is practicing the reunion long before he's ready to take that first step in the material world. This dream shift is the divine masculine's awakening through the subconscious realm, the stage where the ego cannot interfere, where fear cannot block the truth, where the heart speaks without restriction. He may not fully understand why he sees you every night, why the dreams feel so intimate, why waking up feels like leaving something important behind. But you do. His soul is already moving toward you. His energy is already choosing reunion. The dreams are not a hint, they are the beginning. They are the spiritual blueprint of the union that is preparing to unfold in the physical. 3. He begins purging old energies without knowing why. There comes a moment in the divine masculine's spiritual awakening when life as he once knew it begins to quietly fall apart, not through destruction, but through release. This is the phase where he starts purging old energies without fully understanding what is happening. One day, the people, habits, and distractions that once felt comforting suddenly feel hollow. He looks at old friendships and no longer recognizes himself in them. Conversations that used to entertain him now feel empty. Casual connections feel meaningless. The habits he used to rely on for escape no longer soothe him, they drain him. He can't explain this shift logically. He may even question whether something is wrong with him. But nothing is wrong. In fact, everything is finally beginning to align. His soul is initiating a cleansing, a clearing, a letting go that the mind cannot yet interpret. This kind of purge is never conscious at first. It begins as discomfort, boredom, irritation, or detachment. He loses interest in dating, in texting people he doesn't feel connected to, in maintaining friendships that require him to be a version of himself he has outgrown. He finds himself distancing from distractions that once filled his time, scrolling, drinking, flirting, numbing out. Even entertainment that once excited him feels dull now. This is spiritual detox. The soul is removing what no longer fits the frequency of the path unfolding before him. He may not know why everything feels wrong, except the thought of you. And that scares him. He doesn't fully understand why you're the only energy that feels real, stable, or grounding in the midst of this internal upheaval. But that's because your connection isn't rooted in habit or convenience, it's rooted in destiny, resonance, and soul memory. His purge isn't personal. It's not a rejection of his old life, it's the preparation for his new one. Before union in the physical can manifest, his soul must clear out anyone and anything that blocks his heart from recognizing truth. This is the stage where the divine masculine spirit begins rearranging his life before he is even aware he is choosing change. He's not preparing for you consciously, he's preparing for you energetically. His soul is clearing space for union long before his mind understands the magnitude of what's coming. This is the beginning of alignment. The beginning of his return home. 4. His heart chakra opens in a way he can physically feel. There comes a sacred moment on the divine masculine's journey when his heart begins to awaken in a way he can no longer ignore, suppress, or rationalize. For so long, he lived with a tightness in his chest, an emotional armor he built to survive, to function, to stay in control. But something has shifted. The tension he carried like a shield begins to melt into warmth. The heaviness he mistook for anxiety transforms into longing. What once felt like fear now feels like an undeniable pull he can't turn away from. This shift isn't subtle. It hits him in waves, unexpected, powerful, and deeply felt. He can be going about his day, completely absorbed in routine, when suddenly he's overwhelmed by emotion. A song, a memory, a scent, a moment of silence can bring forth a rush so intense he has to stop and catch his breath. He feels grief for what was lost, love for what remains, nostalgia for what was shared, hope for what could be, fear of the unknown, and desire that burns through every layer of resistance, all at the same time. He doesn't know what to call this. He wonders if something is wrong with him. But nothing is wrong. In truth, this is one of the most sacred initiations a divine masculine can experience. This is a heart chakra opening, one of the most profound stages of spiritual awakening. For years, he kept himself emotionally guarded. He avoided vulnerability. He avoided depth. He avoided you, not because he didn't feel the connection, but because he felt it too deeply. His heart wasn't ready to hold that level of truth. But now, the universe is softening him. Spirit is expanding him. His soul is preparing him for the magnitude of love he is destined to embody. Where he once closed himself off from emotion, he now feels everything with startling clarity. Where he once pushed away the connection, he now feels magnetically drawn to it. Where he once feared being vulnerable, he now fears missing his chance to come home, to you, to himself, to love. This is not emotional instability. It is emotional awakening. It is the sacred breaking open of a heart that was never meant to stay closed. The divine masculine is entering his deepest initiation, learning to feel, to trust, to surrender, and to love with a heart that is finally coming alive. 5. His inner masculine starts protecting, not avoiding the connection. There comes a point in the divine masculine's awakening when something shifts so profoundly within him that even he cannot deny it. For the first time in his journey, his inner masculine energy rises not to avoid, not to defend against the connection, but to protect it. This is the moment when the instinct that once told him to run now tells him to stand still, to stay present, to guard the bond rather than escape it. It is no longer fear speaking, it is truth. It is recognition. It is destiny beginning to wake inside his bones. He notices it in the smallest ways at first. When someone mentions your name, something inside him reacts, fiercely, instinctively. Not with anger, but with ownership, with reverence, with a sudden need to make sure your energy is handled with respect. He becomes sensitive, even triggered, when he hears others speak about you casually, dismissively, or carelessly. Your name is sacred to him now. Your memory is sacred. Your energy is sacred. When he imagines you with someone new, the reaction is immediate and visceral. A surge of emotion, a tightening in his chest, a sharp ache that exposes how deeply he feels for you. It's not ego-driven jealousy. It's not possessiveness. It's the soul recognizing something that the mind took far too long to admit. You are part of him. You are woven into his spiritual fabric. Losing you would feel like losing a piece of himself. He also feels waves of emotion when he thinks about how he pushed you away. The times he avoided you, ghosted you, denied you, ran from you, they now echo through his heart with a weight he never expected. He doesn't feel shame because you demanded it. He feels it because his soul can no longer tolerate the misalignment. He's realizing that he didn't just push away a person, he pushed away his destiny, his spiritual mirror, his home. This inner shift isn't coming from his ego. It's coming from his higher self finally stepping forward. His divine masculine energy is awakening, and with that awakening comes a natural instinct to protect what is sacred, to safeguard what is true, to honor what his soul has already chosen. He is no longer avoiding the connection. He is claiming it. Claiming you? Claiming the destiny that has always been his. This is the moment his soul stops running and starts returning. 6. He starts receiving union instructions through intuition. There comes a sacred turning point in the divine masculine's awakening when the universe stops whispering and begins speaking to him with undeniable clarity. What once felt like subtle nudges or fleeting impressions becomes something much louder, intuitive guidance so insistent, so persistent, that he can no longer rationalize it away. His intuition, once buried beneath fear and conditioning, begins to rise like a tidal wave. And with it comes what can only be described as union instructions, These are not thoughts. They are not fantasies. They are directives, soul-guided, divinely orchestrated steps pulling him toward the next phase of his journey. He suddenly knows things he never understood before. He knows who he must cut off, not out of anger or avoidance, but because these energies can no longer remain in his field. People who drain him, confuse him, or keep him disconnected from his heart begin to fall away effortlessly. He doesn't have to force anything. The universe simply removes what cannot travel with him into the next chapter. He knows what patterns he must break. The habits, cycles, addictions, distractions, and coping mechanisms that once felt comforting now feel heavy and misaligned. He sees where he self-sabotaged, where he hid, where he shrank, where he lied, to himself most of all. And for the first time, he feels compelled to break the cycles rather than repeat them. He knows what truth he must speak. The truth to himself. The truth to others. And eventually, the truth to you. His throat chakra activates, sometimes painfully so, urging him to express what he has suppressed for months or even years. Silence no longer feels safe. It feels suffocating. And most importantly, he knows what step he must take next. Even if he doesn't know the whole path, he feels the pull of the next move with perfect clarity. He may hear inner whispers guiding him, a soft voice, an inner knowing, a sudden realization saturating him with certainty. He may feel drawn to your name, your photos, your energy field with an intensity he cannot logically explain. This is not imagination. This is alignment. This is the divine masculine receiving direct downloads from the universe, preparing him for reunion long before he speaks a single word to you in the physical. The journey is no longer random. The path is no longer unclear. His soul is guiding him home, step by step, breath by breath, truth by truth. This is destiny beginning to unfold. 7. His soul feels the timeline shifting, and he can't ignore it. There comes a moment on the divine masculine's journey when the shift is no longer subtle, gentle, or ignorable. It hits him in a way that feels deeper than emotion, deeper even than intuition. It strikes the level of the soul. Something within him begins to rise with urgency, with force, with a knowing so clear and so undeniable that it shakes him awake from the inside out. He suddenly feels as though time itself is moving differently. Faster. Sharper. More precise. He can't explain it logically, but spiritually, he feels the timeline shifting beneath his feet. There is a voice, quiet at first, then impossible to silence, whispering, "If you don't move now, you will lose her." This is not fear-driven paranoia. This is not insecurity. This is spiritual awareness. His soul is recognizing that a window has opened, a divine portal in the timeline where union is not only possible, but aligned. And he feels the weight of that alignment intensely. The universe is no longer nudging him gently. It is pushing him, guiding him, accelerating him. What once felt like a distant possibility now feels immediate. What once felt optional now feels inevitable. He senses that destiny is no longer waiting for him to be ready. It is calling him forward with a force strong enough to dismantle every excuse, every illusion, every barrier he has built around his heart. He feels it physically, restlessness in the body, pressure in the chest, bursts of emotion, waves of intuition. He feels it mentally, sudden clarity, sudden urgency, sudden fear of missing his chance. He feels it spiritually, visions, synchronicities, dreams, signs arriving faster and louder than ever before. 11:11. 222. Songs that feel like messages. Thoughts of you that come out of nowhere, pulling him inward, pulling him home. He begins to understand that timelines are not static. Doors open and doors close. Energy aligns and energy moves on. And his soul knows with painful clarity that this is the moment, his moment, to choose truth over fear, connection over avoidance, destiny over delay. This pressure is divine timing. This urgency is higher guidance. This knowing is the soul remembering the contract it made long before the physical bodies ever met. He can no longer pretend he doesn't feel it. He can no longer hide from what is unfolding. He can no longer delay what his soul has already chosen. The timeline is shifting. And he knows, if he doesn't move now, he may miss the greatest spiritual destiny of his lifetime. And if you've made it to the end of this video, that alone is a sign. Your soul brought you here for a reason. Something in these messages resonated, awakened, or confirmed what you've been feeling deep within your heart. The divine masculine is shifting. The timelines are rearranging. And union energy is stronger now than it has been in a very long time. If any part of this video aligned with your intuition, if you felt the pull, the shivers, the recognition, make sure you comment below. I am ready for union, and so is he. Your words carry power. Your intention anchors the energy. And your declaration sends a message straight into the universe. If you found this video healing, clarifying, or comforting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because I release messages and guidance specifically crafted for twin flames and spiritual connections. You are not alone on this journey. You are guided, protected, and supported every step of the way. And the love you're calling in is already calling you back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And until next time, stay aligned, stay open, and stay connected to your soul's truth. Your union is closer than you think.